Within this dungeon buried shalt thou spend the residue of thy woeful days and years. The champion lists not more with words contend, but in his heart kept close his griefs and fears. He blamed love, chance gan he reprehend, and 'gainst enchantment huge complaints he rears. It were small loss, softly he thus begun to lose the brightness of the shining sun. But I, alas, the golden beam forego of my far brighter sun, nor can I say if these poor eyes shall e'er be blessed so, as once again to view that shining ray. Then thought he on his proud Circassian foe, and said, Ah, how shall I perform that fray? He, and the world with him, will Tancred blame. This is my grief, my fault, mine endless shame. While those high spirits of this champion good, with love and honour's care, are thus oppressed, while he torments himself, Argantes would wax weary of his bed and of his rest. Such hate of peace, and such desire of blood, such thirst of glory, boiled in his breast, that though he scant could stir or stand upright, yet longed he for the appointed day to fight. The night which that expected day forewent, scantly the pagan closed his eyes to sleep. He told how night her sliding hours spent, and rose ere springing day began to peep. He called for armour, which incontinent was brought by him that used the same to keep. That harness rich, old Aladdin him gave, a worthy present for a champion brave. He donned them on, not long their riches eyed, nor did he aught with so great weight incline. His wonted sword upon his thigh he tied, the blade was old and tough, of temper fine. As when a comet far and wide descried, in scorn of Phoebus midst bright heaven doth shine, and tidings sad of death and mischief brings to mighty lords, to monarchs, and to kings. So shone the pagan in bright armour clad, and rolled his eyes, great swollen with ire and blood. His dreadful gestures threatened horror sad, and ugly death upon his forehead stood. Not one of all his squires the courage had to approach their master in his angry mood. Above his head he shook his naked blade, and 'gainst the subtle air vain battle made. The Christian thief, quoth he, that was so bold to combat me in hard and single fight, shall wounded fall inglorious on the mould, his locks with clods of blood and dust bedight. And living shall with watery eyes behold how far from his back I tear his harness bright. Nor shall his dying words me so entreat, but that I'll give his flesh to dogs for meat. Like as a bull when pricked with jealousy, he spies the rival of his hot desire, through all the fields doth bellow, roar, and cry, and with his thundering voice augments his ire. In threatening battle to the empty sky, tears with his horn each tree, plant, bush, and briar, and with his foot casts up the sand on height, defying his strong foe to deadly fight. Such was the pagan's fury, such his cry. A herald called he then, and thus he spake, Go to the camp, and in my name defy the man that combats for his Jesus' sake. This said, upon his steed he mounted high, and with him did his noble prisoner take. The town he thus forsook, and on the green he ran, as mad or frantic he had been. A bugle small he winded loud and shrill, that made resound the fields and valleys near. Louder than thunder from Olympus' hill seemed that dreadful blast to all that hear. The Christian lords of prowess, strength, and skill within the imperial tent assembled were. The herald there in boasting terms defied Tancredi first, and all that durst beside. With sober cheer Godfredo looked about, and viewed at leisure every lord and knight, but yet for all his looks not one stepped out, with courage bold to undertake the fight. Absent were all the Christian champions stout, no news of Tancred since his secret flight. Bohemond far off, and banished from the crew, was that strong prince who proud Gernando slew. And eke those 10, which chosen were by lot, and all the worthies of the camp beside, after Armida false were followed hot, when night were come their secret flight to hide. The rest their hands and hearts that trusted not, blushed for shame, yet silent still abide. For none there was that sought to purchase fame in so great peril, fear exiled shame.